January 1979 was one of the worst weather months in the history of Detroit. The blizzard of '79 brought with it temperatures more than 20 degrees below zero, and in a few short days dumped more than 3 feet of snow on the automobile capital of the world. It was a tough beginning to what proved to be an even tougher year. In the wake of the Vietnam War, Americans were struggling after a decade of chaos, a decade that saw a president resign in disgrace and an oil embargo that brought our economy to its knees. On March 28, 1979, the world watched with bated breath as the reactors at 3 Mile Island near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, teetered on the brink of nuclear meltdown. On April 10th, the Red River Valley in northern Texas and southern Oklahoma was hit with one of the worst tornado outbreaks in history. It culminated with a direct hit of an F4 tornado in Wichita Falls, Texas, which set a new record as the costliest tornado in American history. On May 25th, American Airlines Flight 191 crashed during takeoff in Chicago and became the deadliest accident in our country's aviation history. On June 4th, a blowout at the Ishtak-1 oil well in the Gulf of Mexico became the worst oil spill in history. And on November 4th of that same year, 52 Americans were taken hostage in Iran. After a year of trial and tragedy, with our economy sliding into recession, inflation out of control, and interest rates headed toward 20%, it is no wonder that Americans from coast to coast were hanging their heads, convinced that our nation's best days were behind us. It was within this context and a backdrop of unease and unrest that one American company, an American automobile manufacturer no less, provided a dramatically different vision of the future, one that was defiantly optimistic as it offered a look into the incredible world of Ford.
When Ford started building a new generation of small, fuel-efficient cars, we called on the world, the incredible world of Ford. For over 50 years, Ford has been building small, fuel-efficient cars in Europe. Today, when America needs high-quality, fuel-efficient cars, the incredible world of Ford is working to meet that need, building a new generation of small cars with world-class technology right here in America.
If you could see tomorrow,
it's happening right now. Building cars right here, competing with anything in their class.
Ford, that's incredible.
You'll see them this fall.
Ford, that's incredible.
If you could see tomorrow the way it looks to us today, you'd say incredible. At the time, the message was decidedly countercultural, a prediction of hope and excitement at a time when most of the world was filled with a sense of fear and dread. And in the perfect view of history, Ford was right. The 30 years that followed proved to be absolutely transformative in American culture. From technological revolutions that took us from typewriters to laptops and tablets, from rotary phones to Blackberries and iPhones, from handwritten letters to email, text messages, and tweets, from big heavy cars that were decidedly low-tech to battery electric vehicles complete with more in-car technology than that which took the Apollo astronauts to the moon. The future was indeed incredible in 1979, whether we knew it or not. Yet today, after all this progress, after 30 years of incredible outcomes, America and the world have slipped into a period of economic and cultural malaise. And once again, we find ourselves in a time of extreme self-doubt. The Cold War is over, but the debt war has begun. The energy crisis that paralyzed America in the 70s is back. Dire predictions from all sides of the political landscape seem to point to a future of economic hardship, environmental ruin, and governmental disarray. Many are again questioning whether America's best days are indeed behind us. But Ford A company that has, for over a century, weathered every storm, sees the future differently. Today, Ford Motor Company sees a future that defies popular wisdom. A future of prosperity, of achievement, of progress and health. A future where we can and do solve the energy crisis. A future where we can and do successfully defend our environment. A future even brighter than it was 30 years ago, where the unique blend of American ingenuity and technology come together to change the way we live. Ford Motor Company sees this future today because it is on a mission to help invent that very future, to anticipate the challenges that lay ahead, and proactively put the plans in place now to address them. A mission to not simply allow the future, as predicted by so many, to just happen to us.
We're going through a rough time right now, but this country didn't become the biggest country in the world because it didn't solve its problems.
And I think what's really important, at least for our small part of the world in Ford, is to lay out a positive vision.
I think we've got a very bright future ahead of us, obviously, and I think what Ford's doing has been pretty miraculous.
You know, the bottom line is there's no other place I'd rather be.
In the eyes of Ford, America's best days, there is no question, are definitely ahead of us.
I think the idea that we can use technology to make the future a better place is just extremely exciting.
That's the spirit at Ford, that all of us are doing more than just selling cars, that we're democratizing technology to make people's lives better.
And when you look at the future and you look at economic development and energy dependence and energy security and environmental sustainability, at Ford, we are part of the solution.
The future, according to Ford, is bright, is filled with possibilities. And in the inspiring words first uttered more than 30 years ago, the future, according to Ford, is incredible. In what many consider his most profound work, Henry David Thoreau wrote, "I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to put to rout all that was not life, and not when I had come to die, discover that I had not lived." It is a passage from Walden, which represents a period of intense soul-searching where a man peers deeply into what he has become and determines with keen precision what parts are good and worth preserving and what parts need to be refined. The economic collapse of 2008 and the ensuing depression in the worldwide automobile business led the Ford Motor Company into just such a period of soul-searching. The leaders of the company dug deep. They sought to understand their business and their products in a new way. They examined the core of the company, its heritage, and the profound lessons of its founder, Henry Ford. Henry Ford was clear that a period of bad economic times can be good for business. It drives a company back to its fundamentals and intensifies its pursuit of quality, innovation, and value. He said, "Life is a series of experiences, each one of which makes us bigger, and we must learn that the setbacks we endure help us in our marching onward."
Yeah, we made tough decisions. Closing plants, laying off people, those are very tough decisions. But the outcome has been better product, better cost base, better quality, and ultimately a better business. And that allows us as a company to do things now with the status of our business that we could never thought of before. The growth internationally, the pay down of the debt, and investing in the future. And everyone's inspired by that because we're going to do it on our own. We've already shown we can do it on our own, and we're going to do it together with all our stakeholders.
I think the last few years have really positioned us to create a viable, profitably growing Ford for all of us. I mean, we dealt with reality the way it was. We moved decisively. We focused on the One Ford plan. We focused on a complete family of best-in-class vehicles. But probably even more importantly, we focused on a process that every week we look at the way the world is, we deal with that reality, we look where we need to tune up our plan, and we're going to continue that. And I know we're going to continue to deal with the challenges we face going forward and continue to make a strong, viable, profitably growing company for all of us.
As the economy began to spin out of control, Ford found itself standing alone with a plan that was simple yet profound. Step one was anything but glamorous: to fix the business fundamentals. Step two was to focus and simplify operations. Doing so involved shedding any business group not directly related to the core mission of building and selling the best Ford and Lincoln vehicles possible. Step three was obvious: fix the product and build it better than anybody in the world. But doing so required more than just stringing together a lineup of good cars that would sell profitably. Instead, the process involved Ford honestly questioning what type of company they wanted to be going forward. The result? An overall mission to create one Ford. One team, one plan, and one goal everywhere in the world. And a simple four-part product mission statement that is now known as the 4 pillars: drive smart, drive quality, drive green, and drive safe. These principles are today the central focus of every single thing Ford does, and the rallying call to everyone associated with Ford as they commit to go further than anyone else in terms of building great products, a strong business, and a better world.
It starts with Alan's famous comment about we're going to integrate Ford and we're going to merge with ourselves, because we had all these different business units. Europe was standalone, South America standalone, Asia Pacific standalone, of course the North American business standalone. And the integration of that from a global platform sharing from a product standpoint is where it all starts. That opportunity has created a benefit to all the business units because we can afford more new products, we can share in the cost of those products globally, and allows us to do more.
That enables us to reduce the costs, it enables us to standardize worldwide, and with that comes quality benefits, safety benefits, and generally, I think you look at it and you ask yourself the question why we didn't do it years ago.
So I think it's having a real clarity of vision, having team members who are all around us that are working on the same vision and have the same passion and desire for this One Ford collaborative approach.
Through this plan, the Ford Motor Company has today emerged from the trials of the Great Recession a new and invigorated company. A company with a view of the future that runs counter to the popular wisdom that says America's best days have passed and the world itself is entering what will be an extended period of sacrifice and hardship. Rather than simply accepting the fate that so many believe is inevitable, Ford has made it a corporate mission to step up and invent a different future. The future will be great because Ford will help make it great. And in Ford laboratories around the world, that future is beginning to take shape today. This very morning, in a quiet lab in a remote part of China, a small team of scientists head to work with a single mission in mind. Today they will be working to answer the question of how to balance the added weight of a whole new generation of batteries with the desire to streamline a vehicle and deliver the best possible fuel economy when a gasoline engine is absolutely necessary. At the same time, Jürgen Puchler has just left his office near Cologne, Germany, where he spent his day testing a vehicle that today represents the sum total of nearly 110 years of experience engineering the best cars in the world. And in the pre-dawn hours in a small town outside of Dearborn, Michigan, Dr. Deborah Malusky sets out to the Ford Advanced Research Lab to determine how new materials derived from all natural sources could be used throughout the vehicles of tomorrow. One Ford, one global enterprise on a mission to go further to help answer the questions that will challenge our world not just tomorrow, but for decades into the future. Questions like, is it possible to have fuel efficiency and power and performance? Can smaller actually mean safer in tomorrow's vehicles? What will be the biggest challenges facing our world in the years to come? And can we, through science, technology, hard work, and innovation, begin to answer those challenges today? These questions and so many others are on the minds of Ford designers and engineers, day and night, every day and every night. And the answers they're coming up with will serve as a model for every industry as we collectively face the challenges of the modern world. It used to be called heavy industry. The images were easy to imagine. Giant factories twisting and bending heavy metals into massive machines, each choking out tons of smoke a day. Workers covered in oil and grease, manufacturing the vehicles that move the world. But the automobile industry has been completely transformed in recent years, and a glimpse inside reveals all the elements of a consumer electronics company, a scientific research organization, a technology-based advanced design enterprise, and an environmental development agency like no other in the world. The products of the Ford Motor Company's laboratories around the world reach far beyond the automobiles that leave its factories. The real products are the ideas and innovations which will, in the years to come, continue to redefine the cultural and environmental landscape. Albert Einstein famously said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." And to understand the automobile industry today and tomorrow requires more than a bit of imagination. Defining the future in the early 20th century meant putting the world on wheels. It meant making quality transportation available for the masses. It meant paying workers a fair wage and treating them with respect. It meant responding to the challenges of the day and those just over the horizon. And throughout his life, Henry Ford and the team that followed did just that. They followed the mission laid out by the founder himself, who said there is one rule for an industrialist, and that is to make the best quality of goods possible, at the lowest cost possible, paying the highest wages possible. Those were the challenges of 20th century America, and they were answered in no small part by the Ford Motor Company. But the challenges that lay beyond the horizon in the 21st century are new. They will require a whole new level of commitment, imagination, and dedication to not merely respond to current market forces, but to peer through the looking glass and make the investments now that will ensure a better world in the future. Turning the Ford Motor Company into a crucible of imagination has driven its employees around the world to question every process, every material, every design and detail that goes into producing great automobiles. Ford is now operating in a mode of deliberately looking at every aspect of their business and products and imagining a better way to do it.
We're at the forefront of leading technologies, and I think the reason that it's so exciting and there's such a buzz with the people that I work with, great engineers, great scientists, is they're really discovering things. They're discovering material technologies. They're discovering ways of making combustion more efficient. Battery technologies to make batteries more efficient, more affordable. Just so many things that can really change the future of personal transportation.
And our job is that to turn dreams into reality. We'll continue to be bringing in technology, increased levels of safety, whether it's active safety technology, but also the passive technology, the car-to-car communication, more autonomous vehicle capability. The one thing I know is it'll be different than what we're predicting, and it'll probably be more than what we're predicting.
Imagine a world where our most important industrial products are manufactured using all-natural materials, where every ounce of a vehicle is made with deliberate concern for the environment, operated with minimal impact on the environment, and at the end of its life cycle is able to be recycled into new products or simply returned to the earth with no lasting impact at all. That's what the scientists at Ford's research labs from Dearborn, Michigan to Shanghai, China are working on now. Today, researchers at Ford's renowned science lab have teamed up with MIT to incorporate MuCell technology into various plastic components throughout their vehicle lineup. MuCell technology involves the highly controlled use of gases like CO2 and nitrogen to create millions of microscopic bubbles that reduce the weight of components by up to 10%, leading to enhanced strength and fuel efficiency and dramatically reduced CO2 emissions throughout the production process. These same researchers are today experimenting with an entirely new set of environmentally responsible materials, from soy foam seat cushions to plastics filled with wheat straw and natural fibers for interior components. The labs are beginning to churn out seat covers made from recycled yarns and are experimenting with recycled cotton from old blue jeans that can be used as sound dampening material. Ford is working closely with Ohio State University to develop a substitute for synthetic rubber that is made from a milky white substance that seeps from dandelion roots. This new natural material could be the cup holders, floor mats, and interior trim in tomorrow's automobiles. In their factories, nothing short of an environmental revolution has changed the way Ford manufactures its vehicles. The effort began more than a decade ago, when Ford's Environmental Quality Office developed a strategy to dramatically reduce the impact of manufacturing operations across the globe. Today, the smokestacks of old are being replaced by assembly facilities that are technical and environmental wonders. Around the world, Ford's plants have been transformed with porous parking lots to help purify runoff water, natural wetlands, and green gateways of sustainable landscaping, some of the nation's largest solar power generating systems, industry-leading pollution control systems to convert toxic paint emissions to electricity, and a host of remarkable manufacturing and energy-saving advancements.
Well, we do have a very holistic approach that we're looking at all aspects of what does sustainability mean to us. So from our manufacturing facilities, we're looking at how we can go to zero waste to landfill. We're looking at reducing our CO2 usage or energy consumption, how we preserve water, all those things. But then in our products themselves, we're trying to be the most fuel efficient that we could be. At the same time, that means protecting people so we have safe vehicles, innovation, and quality. Really, the four pillars that we stand for, they all support where we're trying to go for the future.
Now more than ever, when we design with a conscience. Every single element that goes into a car, we've considered what will it be, its impact on the world around us.
Nowhere, however, are the efforts to develop a new breed of environmentally friendly vehicles more profound than in the creation of an entirely new array of Ford engines and motors. In 1916, Henry Ford said, "All the world is waiting for a substitute for gasoline." Nearly 100 years later, the world is still waiting. But Henry's company is fast approaching a solution that answers the call for responsible consumption in an energy-constrained world. It is unclear what the prevailing fuel choice will be in the future, so the Ford Motor Company is betting on all of them. Their work amounts to a literal reinvention of the powertrains that move our world.
We've really put a focus on doing a hard look at the technologies, but also not wedding ourselves to a single one. Continuing our work, obviously, on hybrids, which we're a leader on, and expanding that to plug-in hybrids. We're continuing our work on hydrogen and fuel cells. And then obviously continuing to refine our gas engines and our diesel engines. We're putting all of those in a strategy, both in terms of engineering and manufacturing, of being able to place those in mainstream platforms.
Through a massive investment in research and technology, Ford is on a worldwide mission to find the best sources and most efficient uses of energy in the decades to come. And through this investment, every vehicle Ford sells today takes the world one step closer to the cleaner, renewable fuels of the future. The 2012 Ford Focus Electric signals a new approach to electrifying the vehicles of the future. The Focus Electric and the electric vehicles to follow will be real cars with real performance, built on the same assembly lines as their hybrid and gasoline counterparts. The Focus Electric is expected to be the world's first 5-passenger, all-electric car to achieve more than 100 miles per gallon equivalent fuel efficiency rating. It features technology which dramatically speeds the charging process and helps drivers double the expected single charge range compared to similar vehicles on the market. Inside, the environmental consciousness is carried out in materials and design, inspired by the phenomenon known as the butterfly effect, where one small change can literally impact the entire world. The cluster display in Focus Electric uses blue butterflies to represent the range, and at the end of each trip, a display screen provides distance driven, miles gained through regenerative braking, energy consumed, and comparative gasoline savings achieved by driving electric. A new material called Lignatok is used behind the cloth on the doors. Comprised of 85% natural wood fibers, the light material helps reduce the overall weight of the vehicle and leads to even better sound deadening benefits over traditional materials. Recycled plastic bottles are transformed into components like underbody shields, wheel arch liners, and air cleaner assemblies. Through a dynamic relationship with Microsoft, drivers can customize the charging of their vehicles at times when utility costs are lowest. And through the unique MyFord mobile technology, users can monitor and control their vehicles through smartphone applications.
What we're excited about in the Focus is for people who want a pure battery electric vehicle, we're going to have the best one out there that's going to be able to give them the range they want, the functionality they want, and the convenience of being able to plug in at their house and charge up the vehicle in 3 hours and have a full vehicle charge. So we're excited about the functionality of it, but even more important, how it fits into our whole product portfolio. And so the beauty of our strategy is that we have a plug-and-play type philosophy. So we can build in our Focus plant a gasoline Focus, we can build a battery electric Focus, we'll build the C-Max, which is a plug-in hybrid, and the C-Max hybrid. So from one plant, we can build any combination of these things.
We've tried not to make trade-offs in the sense that the consumers today want both. They want the driving dynamics and the great capabilities of the vehicle, and they want better fuel economy, and they want the safety. And so that's the point of view we're taking about the future. Our approach has not been to make a demonstrator vehicle and try to sell it as a one-off vehicle. Our approach has been, let's have the capability for our global platforms to have different powertrain technologies so that we can evolve with the customer and with the cost base that comes with these new technologies.
I think that's going to be a very exciting part of our industry because we're seen as someone providing an answer for the future, not an excuse why we can't.
From enhanced efficiency gasoline-powered engines, performance-driven EcoBoost engines, hybrid electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicles, and pure battery electric vehicles, Ford Motor Company sees a future powered by choice. Understanding that the transition to electrified vehicles will take time, Ford issued a challenge to their engineers to take the gasoline engine to a whole new level, to prove to the world that there was a way to have it all: great driving dynamics and fuel economy. The result was the new Ford EcoBoost engine. The engine debuted in 2010 with the new Ford Taurus, a 6-cylinder engine packing the power of a V8. But rather than simply limiting such technology to its high-end flagship vehicles, Ford is offering EcoBoost technology across its fleet. By 2013, EcoBoost is expected to be available in 90% of all Ford vehicles sold in North America. And Ford estimates that sales of the new engines will reach 1.5 million per year. The full-size pickup truck market has always been a V8 market. Drivers of these trucks want power and toughness, and for decades, more of these drivers turned to Ford than anyone else. Ford F-Series has been the best-selling truck in North America for 35 years, and the best-selling vehicle of any kind in North America for more than 20 years. If ever there were a segment to leave well enough alone, it was the venerable pickup truck. But that type of thinking simply doesn't fit the new Ford. When Ford announced they would offer a V6 EcoBoost engine in their industry-leading F-150, the critics were stunned and said it would never sell. But just over a year into the effort, the 3.5-liter V6 EcoBoost has become the most popular engine choice in the F-150, accounting for more than 40% of all retail sales. And now, for the fourth time, the F-150 has been named Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for 2012.
You know, the traditional thinking in that segment was if you don't have a V8, you're not going to cut it. The truck isn't going to be man enough for the job. And so Ford took quite a risk this year when we introduced our EcoBoost V6 engine into that segment. But surprisingly, what we're seeing is that engine is now the top-selling engine in the F-150 lineup. And customers love it. Customers love it, the dealers love it. And what they're telling us is that not only does this deliver on performance versus the V8, but they're telling us it's actually better than their V8s, and at the same time they're getting great gas mileage out of it.
A lot of companies, talk about their fuel efficiency, but no company has made as big a bet in terms of volume as EcoBoost. A year ago on F-Series, we didn't sell one V6, and here we are a year later and 60% of our sales, the best-selling vehicle in the US, are now V6s, and 40% of them are EcoBoost. This V6 engine gives people more torque than a large displacement V8, but they have fuel economy that no other competitor has. And those kind of creative ideas that are affordable to everyone is really the DNA of us as a company. And given all the technologies and all the things we're going to be rolling out in the next year, I got to be honest, I'm pretty excited about where we're going.
In testing, the V6 EcoBoost F-150, while offering excellent fuel economy, beat all competitors in torque, towing, and payload. But the critics questioned, would the engine last? Would it hold up under intense conditions and during the toughest jobs? So Ford engineers decided to prove the EcoBoost technology in the most extreme and grueling engine test program in history. The equivalent of 1.6 million miles in the lab, in test cells, on the highway, and off-road. Running a single engine full throttle for 1 hour in a lab until the engine turned red. Then thermo-testing it at 20 degrees below zero, and 15 minutes later at a blistering 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Then forcing the same engine to pull 11,000 pounds up a grade steeper than Pikes Peak. Then crisscrossing the country for thousands of miles, and finishing it off by taking on all comers at the Baja 1000. And then analyzing the parts and realizing the same engine could easily do it all again. Only then did Ford realize they had a technical marvel on their hands.
We have grander dreams than just meeting corporate fuel economy standards from the government. Our engineers wake up every day to surprise the customers. I'm a Mustang customer, so think about a Mustang that gets 305 horsepower and more than 30 miles per gallon. I mean, even 5 years ago, there was no one thinking about that kind of solution. And it really blows people's mind when they get in that F-Series and they punch the throttle, and then the salesman tells them that it's a 3.5 liter V6, they can't believe it's not a 6 liter V8. Our philosophy is different. We want to have best-in-class fuel economy, and we want it to be fun to drive.
We want to create beauty. We want to create this great product where design is the differentiator from the competition that drives home innovation and technology. And we want to create something that the customer will absolutely love.
What is going to push that button that makes that immediate emotional connection with the customer, that as soon as they see that vehicle, it's love at first sight?
A car is the one mechanical object that people fall in love with. And right now, we're really in the golden age of automobiles. We're at a unique time where, you want an electric car, there's great electric cars out there. You want performance, they just announced today a 650 horsepower, 200 mile per hour Shelby. I mean, fantastic.
It is really exciting to be part of a team that wants to surprise customers, because there's nothing more exciting, I think, as a business professional, than when you see someone get into a Fusion hybrid, or someone drive a Raptor, or a Shelby Mustang, or a Boss Mustang, or a new Focus. They all have the same thing in common. People are surprised. Like, that's a Ford? When you're delivering that kind of value to the customer, it's a deeper level of satisfaction than just, what our sales numbers are this month.
The current Ford lineup and the vehicles just around the corner reveal a company with a very distinct view of the future. The 2012 Ford Focus, a true world car, points to a future not of austerity, but where we truly can have the best of all worlds. The Ford Fiesta demonstrates categorically that small doesn't have to mean boring or utilitarian. The Transit Connect Electric shows versatility to meet the needs of individuals and business. The new Ford Edge is a masterpiece of technology. Through these vehicles, Ford has, quite simply, invented a new approach to the future, without giving in to the idea that our lives will one day be filled with hardship and sacrifice, but also resisting the idea that we can live selfishly without considering the rest of the world. Ford has created a third alternative, and that perspective is guiding every decision about every product being made today, everywhere in the world. Nowhere is this distinct point of view more evident than in the revolutionary EVOS concept, a vehicle that foreshadows the direction of the entire Ford Motor Company in the years to come.
It really shows the future of Ford design, but also for us it shows the future of Ford technology. And the EVOS story is about a car that's connected to the cloud. So essentially a car that's connected to the internet. And by being connected, the car can now adapt to you rather than you having to learn and adapt to the car.
EVOS is perhaps the single greatest expression thus far of Ford's global vision, and is at the heart of the One Ford global strategy that takes the best minds throughout the world and puts them together in a common mission. In one dynamic package, this single car represents a bold announcement and illustrates the future of the entire company and its products as momentum for the global Ford product plan begins to build. Inside, the car is designed to extend all the benefits of modern technology to the driver, making time inside the automobile a continuation of the connected digital lives people lead outside their cars. EVOS envisions a cloud-connected future, where information can be fed to and from the vehicle to tailor the driving experience to the exact personal requirements and desires of the driver. The technology is able to learn individual driving habits and adjust powertrain, steering, suspension, and braking systems to enhance comfort and the driving experience.
I mean, obviously, the EVOS is just a beautiful, beautiful concept car, but it's more than that to us. It really is an expression of the design language that we want to take into the Ford brand in the future.
When I look at something like the Evos, I mean, I can't help but get excited. I mean, the styling is so unique. There's nothing on the marketplace like it. And the best part about it is that we'll actually see things just like that brought to the marketplace, not in years, but in months' time.
In 2012, the impact of Evos will be seen around the world through the introduction of two completely redesigned vehicles destined to redefine the meaning of the small SUV and the family sedan. On a crisp California night in the heart of Hollywood, the world first caught a glimpse of the next generation Ford Escape. The event itself hearkened to a whole new Ford, as for the first time in history, a major new vehicle was launched through social gaming. The next generation Escape includes 11 features no other SUV offers and is expected to be the most fuel-efficient of any compact SUV on the market. It is an ingenious fusion of technologies and features designed to make life easier and more fun. Escape offers available smart technology features like the new hands-free power liftgate, which allows drivers to open the rear hatch with a gentle kick when their hands are full. The popular sync system with My Ford Touch has been redesigned and is easier than ever to use. Escape is a product of a global convergence of design and is filled with components made from environmentally friendly materials. Soy foam in the seats and head restraints, recycled cotton from blue jeans and t-shirts in the dashboard, a carpet made from 25 recycled 20-ounce plastic bottles. It will offer the broadest spectrum of EcoBoost engines of any vehicle in the Ford lineup to date, and symbolically show that the SUV not only still has a place in the resource-constrained modern world, but can actually be part of the solution. But the introduction of the new Escape was merely a prelude of greater things still to come. When it was first revealed to the world at the 2012 North American International Auto Show, the 2013 Ford Fusion left the automobile world speechless. It is destined to join the ranks of the world's great automobiles, one of the truly groundbreaking cars in automotive history. A car that redefines public perceptions of what a mid-size sedan should represent. Over the past several years, its predecessor has become one of the most beloved cars in America, winning the 2010 Motor Trend Car of the Year. But the all-new 2013 Ford Fusion is in a class all its own.
The new Fusion looks like an exotic car, and it drives magnificently as well. And the technology, and having a plug-in hybrid, it's something that looks that good. You know, this isn't some ugly plug-in hybrid. This is actually something beautiful. I predicted that that's going to be the best-selling car in America, and that could be our bestseller in history.
From the ground up, the new Fusion is different. The car was developed by some of the best designers and engineers from the world over, in an effort to deliver the best of what one Ford really stands for. The charge was to challenge all the assumptions of decades of automaking and develop a mid-size car with groundbreaking design and jaw-dropping fuel economy. One that featured advancements to help make the driving experience safer and more fun. A car that was affordable for the whole world, yet was equipped with the latest technology and features, beautiful design, the widest array of fuel-efficient powertrains to date, and what is expected to be the triple crown of best-in-class gas, hybrid, and plug-in efficiency. With 7 must-have technologies, including a lane-keeping system, adaptive cruise control, active park assist, and My Ford Touch, the all-new Ford Fusion shows how Ford is delivering features customers around the world truly want and value.
It kind of puts a smile on my face because when we designed it, we really thought about what it means to the world in terms of the image, the near premiumness of the vehicle, that the incredible material and color execution, the design execution, the engineering execution of this. It has a whole new look. It is stunning. The market research that we've done on this has been, beyond anything that we've seen in the company. It's absolutely incredible with what we think this vehicle is going to do for us.
The first thing you're going to notice is this wonderful embrace. The way that the door panel speaks and flows to the instrument panel, and then how every line takes you on this journey, this visual journey around all these shapes and forms that are soft to the touch, that invite you to touch them. And then there are areas that call out, the technology and all the sort of research and thought that we've put into, the feel of a button. And you could feel the care that's placed into how we finished and stitched and sewn, all these leathers and fabrics and fibers, where it's really beautiful.
The Fusion, to me, is the car that represents what's great about Ford. It's fun to drive, it's incredible to look at, right from the Evo's concept car. It looks like a concept car, and yet it's affordable to all Americans. It has breakthrough fuel economy, whether it's the hybrid version or the regular EcoBoost version. Everything that we bet on at the company is in that product. I think it's perfect for Ford to come out with the Fusion, this kind of car, executed as it is at this moment in time.
I think the future for America is very, very bright. And there are a couple of things that come to mind because of that. One is our technology. Secondly is our innovation and our spirit of working together. And when you look at the future and you look at economic development and energy dependence and energy security and environmental sustainability, at Ford, we are part of the solution to all three of those big issues. And I know everybody associated with Ford is really looking forward to creating that future together.
I think we will continue to lead the world in being a company with a soul. I term it a company that has a heritage, and to me that means a company that has a history but also has a future. And when you look at our founder, Henry Ford, he put the world on wheels. He created the middle class here in the US. He literally did change the world. And being part of that company, there's a bit of expectation that as we go forward, and that we have to live up to the history of our founder and our company. And sometimes we'll hit that mark, sometimes we won't, but we'll always be aiming for it.
Whether it's the Model T or a Ford Cortina in Europe or a Mustang in 1964 in April, or the next vehicles were coming out here in the US, like the new Focus, there's not much difference in terms of the DNA. Our idea is, whether it's Sync or EcoBoost or PowerShift or My Ford Touch, the idea is that we want to make people's lives better through our products, and not just a few people, but millions.
By 2020, roughly 2 billion people in Asia Pacific, mostly China, India, and Southeast Asia, will get to the age and income level they can now afford their first automobile. 2 billion people. This is a different world than we've ever seen before. We launched the Ford Figo in India a year and a half ago. In that first year, we nearly tripled our sales in India, and we won every single Car of the Year award, and we were Manufacturer of the Year in India with one car. Last year, we launched Fiesta in Thailand. We've nearly doubled our sales in Thailand in 1 year. There's a potential for the Ford brand globally. It's unprecedented because it stands for something historically.
In the not-too-distant future, Ford sees a world of peace, prosperity, and possibility. A world that is exciting, exhilarating, and filled with expectation. A future where access to transportation and the freedom that goes with it grows exponentially. In the developing nations, Ford today is having the same impact they had in early 20th century America, when families experienced for the first time a new measure of freedom opened up by affordable transportation. In India, the overwhelming majority of all consumers are buying the first cars their families ever owned. So too in China, so too in Africa, so too in Southeast Asia. This is the story of a remarkable American company on the verge of a worldwide expansion not seen in 100 years. An American automobile company that is realistically planning to increase its sales, not incrementally, but dramatically. by 50% in the next 5 years to selling an astounding 8 million vehicles throughout the world. It is a great American story of an organization committed to go further, to do more and to be more, and to go beyond the call of duty. The Ford of the future will continue to be an organization committed to more than simply building good products, selling as many of them as possible, and building shareholder value. Instead, Ford is a company on a mission to help build the future it sees possible, to offer hope where there is today only fear, to offer solutions in a world too often focused only on the challenges which loom on the horizon. Henry Ford said 100 years ago, "Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal." Today, the goal, the mission, the worldwide pursuit of the Ford Motor Company is to help usher in a better world, to use technology, innovation, and hard work to make certain that our best days are still to come. And with more than a century of progress behind them, with a dedicated army of designers and engineers, thinkers, dreamers, and doers scattered throughout the globe, all focused with one mission in mind, that is exactly the future according to Ford.